Salakaya chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samini Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Adaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Philip.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you can start.
One sec, I just joined. Oh, singing?
Yeah.
One sec. Let me get situated real quick.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mother Aruni Devi. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranamata. Prahladananda Prabhu is trying to connect for last few minutes. He will connect probably eventually.
He's there.
He's there. He's trying to connect.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's not hearing yet.
Okay.
So I hope you are all ready for Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Working on it, Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And we see Ajit Prabhu is joining. That's very nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ajit Prabhu.
Thank you for doing these classes. We owe everything to you.
I'm in New York Temple. It's beautiful, vibrant devotee community. The young brahmacharis, Western bodies, dancing, chanting, singing every day 4 hours in the subway in this cold. It's cold, very cold. I spent yesterday whole day there, but they go every day 4 hours chanting. And you have thousands and thousands of people just passing by every moment. And they're handing out, trying to give them Krishna consciousness through chanting. They have a nice music box place that they sit down, mridanga, kartal, harmonium, and they're handing out the books. Every day they do.
Wow.
Whether it's a rain or shine or doesn't matter. It's so nice.
Really dedicated.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
They're born in the West, in a Western body, but very dedicated. It's like a very exciting. So I was there to help them also.
Where is that Achoa, Prabhuji?
Right here in New York.
Oh, you're in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
New York. There are different subways. And some are like very trafficking. Like the place where you were yesterday, I saw that 5 places people coming and going. This like within like 20 feet. It's very organized in New York. You have like a few thousand people just passing by every few moments.
Wow.
You just have to catch their attention. And once in a while, I was also distributing books. Once in a while, people are taking. But it's wonderful. Nice kirtan. The government allows us to do big kirtan.
And the public doesn't bother these devotees. They don't mess with them. They don't.
No. I mean, I didn't see. I don't know. I'm not here every day.
Right.
But I spend whole time, 4 or 5 hours, like I saw that. No. Some people loves it. Some people takes a record of it. Some people waves. But everybody's rushing in the subway, not like a rushing, catching the train, this one.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, they are getting little flavor. They look at us, they hear Hare Krishna mantra. We're not singing like Hare Krishna. No, Hare Krishna, like a loud,
Right.
nice rhythm, nice music with harmonium, mridanga, all this music instrument. There are some Matajis also. And there are some ladies and men join from the group. Sometimes they done for the day before they go home. They just spend little time. They stand there for a while. So it's very attractive. Those who are pious, they easily attracted.
Yes.
Prabhupada said something interesting. He said a lot of Jewish people join because they are intelligent. And a lot of Christian join or Latino join, they said, because they are pious. And there are some actually demoniac nature, they don't join. They just don't feel, they feel irritated because it disturbs their sense gratification in this world. Literary, spirituality disturbs their exploration in this world. So this type of people will be always there. So with that note, let us start. Philip, would you like to sing Jai Radha Madhava, please?
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Banachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Banachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Haribo.
Very good, Philip. Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Philip. Philip is a wonderful example, He's born in the West. He just came in Krishna consciousness, but he's a very serious student. And he works and he likes to associate with the devotees every day. Have darshan of the deity, comes to Mangalarti in Brooklyn Temple. That's like a very exciting. Obviously, Krishna is inviting him. That's why he's going. Not everybody are fortunate like that. So with that note, let us repeat 3 times to purify our existence through the consciousness. If our consciousness is pure, then we can perceive Krishna through his words, Bhagavad Gita, through his devotees, through his chanting, dancing, all the devotional process. So let us evoke auspiciousness by chanting this mantra 3 times. We can do together. If you want, you can unmute. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nasta Prayesu Abhadresu Nitam Bhagavato Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Mukankarati Vachalam Pangulangayate Girim Jatkripatamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Isharam. So who would like to recite the slokas? Any volunteer? I think we did 21. Today we'll start with 22. Did we do 20? Yeah.
I think we did 22nd also.
We did 22nd?
Yeah, I think Prabhu Julian did. Read that.
I see. We talked,
Is that correct,
yeah.
Julian,
Yes.
do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Okay. Okay.
Think not how far the spiritual world is, think how close the Lord is, Lord of the spiritual world is. That was, I think, last discussion we had. These are very true. So we'll start with 23. Would you like to start, Ajit Prabhu?
Yes, I'll be glad to, Prabhu.
Okay.
Text 23. Yatra kale tu anavritam avritam cheva yogina prayatat yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatar sabha. Translation: Yatra, at which, kale, time, tu, and, anavritam, no return, avritam, return, cha, also, eva, certainly, yogina, different kinds of mystic, prayata, having departed, yanti, attain, tam, that, kalam, time, vakshyami, I shall describe, Bharata Prasabha, O best of the Bharatas. Translation: O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Purport: the unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are totally surrendered souls, do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return to Godhead. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realization as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga must leave the body at a suitable time in order to be sure of whether or not they will return to the world of birth and death. If the yogi is perfect, he can select the time and situation for leaving this material world. But if he does not expect, but if he is not so expert, his success depends on his accidentally passing away at a certain suitable time. The suitable time at which one passes away and does not come back are explained by the Lord in the next verse. According to Acharya Baladev Vidyabhusana, the Sanskrit word kala used here refers to the presiding deity of time. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting verse. Now, in all these, the focus on remembrance of Krishna becomes, I would say, substantially most important. But those who cannot, then they are unfortunate. So if somebody can focus on remembering Krishna, and by remembering Krishna, one returns back to Krishna, that is the best. But if one does not focus on Krishna, then can lead to problems. How many of you, now you don't have to, I'm not trying to judge you, but how many of you go to temple and you're just seeing the, the structure, the floor, the ceiling, the lights and the altar, and then you pay obeisances, but you're not looking at the deity really, like paying attention. It's like so many things going on, overwhelming, and there are so many people. And then eventually you leave prasadam and others. Now, why I brought this? Because they are all interrelated with Krishna. Seeing Krishna means literally we have to see the connection. If one does not focus on Krishna, then that can lead to problem. Because one relies on too much on one's endeavor. If one's endeavor don't work out properly, then one will not be successful. So now with this understanding of the material factors are quite important in the path of yoga. Now when we use the word yoga, I don't know, some of you may be thinking, but we are devotee, we're not talking about yoga. We are devotee means bhakti yogi. When Krishna used the word yoga, it is all related to us. It is not somebody doing austerity in a forest or somebody trying to chant Om like this. Well, they are also some kind of yogi, but we are bhakti yogi. So this is very important, that with this understanding of material factors, the material factors are quite important in the path of yoga. Because path of yoga does not primarily rely on the grace of the Lord. It does not take shelter of the transcendental bhakti. It focuses on material readjustment, redirections, you can say, of the bodily energies. So therefore, at a material level, adjusting things at the time of death becomes important. Someone said that when the pain was so severe in his life one time, he said it was, Prabhu, almost impossible to chant. Of course, I don't want to experience that. I was thinking like, no, how can you say that? You can always chant. But actually, intensity or intense pain or whatever, it can actually pushes us to come closer to Krishna. It is easier when somebody actually going through little tough time to pray to Krishna with attention with clarification. What am I praying? What am I thinking of result of these prayers? But if you don't have any problem, nothing, you just come to temple. Maybe you don't do it, but I'm saying in general. They just pray, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, I had a fun. Good. Let's take prasadam and go back home. Did you go to temple? Yeah. Did you have connection with Krishna? Yeah. How did you connect? Well, I took prasadam, I took dance and looked around. A lot of friends came. That's good. But try to go a little deeper. That Krishna is behind everything. Krishna is actually with you. How you are establishing, or I would say re-establishing that relationship. Because Krishna has said earlier, one who remembers me will come back to me. But for those who do not focus on those devotional injunctions, on just remember me for them, they have to do other things. What are those other things? You will see the next verse comes. So now the question, I don't know anyone remembers. I mentioned some time back about this Germany Bari devotee who was in Mayapur. He's from Heidelberg. He's a good devotee. And he was trying to cross the river Ganges. But while he was crossing, the undercurrent actually pulled him. And he was almost like losing the life. At that time, Prabhus and mothers, I don't know how to explain you, because right now we are normal. We think like, yeah, we can think of Krishna and chant. But when real serious emergency comes, it is not like we have a control within us. He was trying, literally, he was trying his best to think of Krishna. Of course, he was not a born devotee. He's a Germani Bari. But only thing he remembered, pizza. And then, of course, he was kind of carried away by the water. Fishermen caught him near Navudvip, other side, and actually revived him, brought him back to ISKCON temple, Mayapur, and they gave it, and then the body realized, oh my God, what happened to him? So he was sick for a few days, then he got better, and they asked him to speak about his experience, what he went through. So he was saying, when he was a small kid, small boy in Germany, then there used to be American pizza ad. I don't know, some of you may heard it. They like a man and woman like a dance, pizza, some kind of it. I saw 1 or 2 times many years back, I remember. I don't watch anymore, so I don't know if it is still there or not. But it was like a hypnotizing, like. So his parents, they were like not a theist, but atheist Germany. They're like not believer in anything. They're educated, so-called education. So whenever the ad would come, they would call the child, and child would run down from upstairs and he would dance as long as the ad goes, 30 seconds or something. And they would be happy that, oh, our child is happy with this ad. Now, what's wrong with this ad? Is there anything wrong? You may think like, no, it's nothing wrong. It's just a pizza. What's the big deal about it? He's not doing anything abominable thing. Yes, but when he really needed to remember Krishna, the emotional investment he did in this pizza popped. He was in Mayapur, Prabhus and mothers. Try to understand. He was in Mayapur, in the Ganges. How holy you want to think? In Holidham, in the holy river. Of course, he was drowned by the undercurrent, whirlpool. I can see that. I had a fear when I crossed. I mean, Mayapur Ganges is very heavy current, sometimes a little far. You have to go with some devotee if you want to cross that. Otherwise, don't go. I mean, this is just my advice. but Mother Ganges is purified river. So question is that devotee asks, how can you not think? He said, I tried. It's like you know, anybody had a experience you're trying to remember that person's name, and you met that person and you see that person in the temple or he's coming on that road and you want to address him, but you some or other it blanked out. You have no idea about that person. But you know by the form, I remember I had a talk with him. Oh my God, how can I not remember? And you're thinking like, should I go on my phone? Should I try to check in my phone? But you don't know even what to check. There has to be some alphabet, you know, some word has to be there first. It was nightmare. He said, what was the frightening things? That he could not remember Krishna or Mahaprabhu. But physically, location-wise, he was in Holy Dham. He was in the Ganges. If you die, I don't know how you become pizza. I mean, something like that. So he became very serious devotee. And he told his parents he's not coming back. He is going to stay in Holy Dham for the rest of his life. And he wants to seriously chant and preach from there, from Bengal. I don't know if he's still there. Probably he's still there. But these things, like, you know, sometimes I think like, oh, wow. They say, oh, that devotee died in Vrindavan. Well, that devotee may die in Vrindavan, but you don't know how. I hope you all understand. It's a consciousness that is important, that connects us to Krishna or material world. It is not the physical body. It is not the mind. It is not the physical location where you are. It is the consciousness. And you have a power to control the consciousness. But what consciousness will bring the memory, that you don't have. But you do have a power to dwell on it. So it can be scary. Now, of course, Krishna definitely gave him a chance to purify his existence. And he became serious. Krishna is not a dictator's God. You know, he's not a dictatorship. He's not a like autocrat. He actually most merciful. But we also have to express our desire to come to him. Then it will work. It is not going to work automatically. Okay. If anybody has any reflection or any further discussion on that, otherwise we'll go to the next verse.
Prabhuji,
Yes,
may I
Mother.
say, approximately like a month ago, I was very sick, like really nauseous, throwing up, going to ER, urgent care. And I tried to chant, but I was so nauseous, I just could not chant. I would think of Krishna, but I could not chant. So I don't know, when you're so sick, it's hard. It's hard, you know, when you're so sick. It's my experience, yeah.
Yeah. You can relate, like sometime it happened to me too. You know, you see a person, you want to remember his name. You remember clearly that you had a good talk and you want to say hello to him by the name, you know, so it's more personal, but it's blank. It's like nothing coming in the memory. Krishna did not say, think of my photo. Krishna did not say, just chant. He said, remember.
Oh, I remembered him, but I could not
Remember
chant.
means there has to be a relationship.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Hare
Any
Krishna.
other? Otherwise, let us go to the next verse. It's very interesting. Who would like to go?
All right.
Philip,
Evil. All right.
24. Agni Jyoti.
Agni Jyotir Shuklaha Sanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vido Janaha. Agni, fire, Jyoti, light, Aha, day, Shuklaha, the white fortnight, Satmasaha, the 6 months, Uttara Ayanam, when the sun passes on the northern side, Tatra, there, Prayataha, those who pass away, Gajanti, go, Brahma, the absolute, Brahma Vidaha, who know the absolute, Janaha, persons. Translation: those who know the supreme Brahman attain that supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Purport: when fire, light, day, and the fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them there are various presiding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. At the time of death, the mind carries one on the path to a new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practice can arrange the time and place to leave the body. Others have no control. If by accident at an auspicious moment, then they will not return to the cycle of birth and death, but otherwise there is every possibility that they will have to return. However, for the pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves the body at an auspicious or inauspicious moment, by accident or arrangement.
Very nice. So in this verse, Agni Jyotir Aha Sukla, Agni means fire, Jyoti means light, Aha, days, Sukla refers to the, when you look at in the sky, you'll see there's a phase, or you can say phases of the moon. So Shukla Paksha means bright, waning and waxing. Krishna Paksha. So here he says Shanmasa Uttarayana. So we know that from the point of view of Earth, where we are, you may be in Las Vegas, I'm in New York right now. It doesn't matter, or you may be in India. The sun, depending on the way the Earth's angle is tilted, 23.5 degrees, relative position to moon and relative position of sun, there is a Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. Those who are familiar with the Indian calendar, you will see those names are there. But those who are not familiar, you may not be aware of those. Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. Tatra prayata gachanti. If one goes away during the period of Brahma Vido Jana, such person is Brahma Vido. Such person attains the Brahma or impersonal, Prabhupada mentioned. Now, Srila Prabhupada translate, they attain supreme. When fire, light, day and fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that overall of them, there are various presiding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. So Sri Krishna is not talking about devotees over here. I hope you all understood that. Krishna is not talking about devotees. Sri Krishna is talking primarily about the yogis beside the Hare Krishna yogis. You may not see them in India, in America, but they are a lot in the Himalaya side or even in holy places. What is going in this chapter is a comparison on the path of yoga and comparison on the path of bhakti. Now, yoga refers to Ashtanga Yoga, pranayam, breathing exercise. So Krishna recommends fixing of mind on him. But he also analyzes the path of yoga. And his goal is to compare and establish how bhakti yoga is easier. So here when he's talking on the process of yoga, he's describing how the yogis depart. When the soul departs within the part of yoga, it is described in Vedas, in Shrutis, primarily that there are various demigods who supervise the pathway that are used by the departing soul. Some sound is coming from Desai Daksha place. You can mute, please. So just like if a person is going in a train, then there are different railway stations. You can familiar. I mean, New York, where I am right now, is full of subways. I don't know how the New Yorker will be ever, if subway closed, I don't know what will be the situation. Probably will collapse. Because majority, they travel. That's how my experience. I'm seeing it last few days. So people going in a train, and then there are different railway stations along the way, and there are station master of each railway station. And they look after the rails over there and the passage of train over there. Similarly, after death, when soul, you, me, departs, then how the soul, you or me, goes, which pathway the soul takes, these different pathways are seen by the presiding deities. I hope you understand. Uttarayan, Dakshinayan means like that. So here when Sri Krishna is referring to day, night, light or such thing, he is not referring to not just the cosmic phenomena. He is also referring to the deities in charge of that phenomena. And when a person is Brahma-vida, one who practice, 4 things, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattamasi, Sarvam Khalvitam Brahma, Pragyanam Brahma. This is their, 4 things they do. They do austerity also, like Hare Krishnas, like us. So then one's consciousness is such that one propitiated such deities. Those particular deities guide the person along the path ultimately to Brahman. If you ever wonder, like when you leave this body, how the soul goes, I hope you all understand. How the soul goes to heaven. It is not like you are going to heaven. You are being taken there. Just like for a Vaikuntha entrance, Vaikuntha Dut comes and takes you there. It's not like you just jump or like run or something. Not like that. I hope it's very clear. When soul departs from this body, physical body, then he's taken by a particular deities, particular personalities, represent the planet you're going to go, wherever it is. So yoga also involves some level of purification. With the qualification of yogis goes in that way. So now if the yoga is not so advanced, then this set of presiding deities does not guide that person. But another sets of deities guide that person. Who are those deities? We'll hear it next verse. It will talk about it. I hope you understand that, my last point. So let's put a question like, what are the auspicious and inauspicious times of leaving the body? Did anybody ever think like that? Bhishmadev thought, we know that. He was waiting for Uttarayan, the auspicious time. Now, what is the result of leaving the body at those times? The auspicious time is during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day. During the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels north. The inauspicious time is during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6th month when the sun is traveling south. If one leaves his body during the auspicious time, he attains the supreme Brahman. But one leaves his body at the inauspicious, not a good time, he reaches the moon planet but comes back again to this New York. No, I mean this planet. So, this is a very interesting that 23rd verse, what we understood, that Bharat Varsha, now Krishna is described, I'm just catching up what these 3 verses together, that routes, how you travel, how you leave this body and go where, determined by time calculation. Now, if I ask you a question, is this related to devotee? No. Why? Because one thing, to go back home, back to Godhead, we are not under the influence of time. Material body is under the influence of time. But going back home, back to Godhead is not under influence of time. As for material difference, destiny, yes, all are under time. Now this body, like physical body I have, it's under the influence of time. When time comes, Haribol, gone. Demigod's body does not become old. Our body becomes old. Their body doesn't become old. So you don't know even how old they are. Now, if you look at Philip, okay, everybody will agree he's a young chap. If you see an 80 years old lady, you'll say, oh, she's old. What do you think? She will live another 100? No. Or you may not say it, but in your mind, you'll say, no way. Maybe 10 years, 20 years, like that. You cannot say 100 years. But if you see a young child, you can say, yes, 100 years. So these are estimation under the influence of time. I hope everybody understands that. But our ultimate destination is not influenced by time. It is influenced by you fill up the gap, ... On text 24, Krishna says, the followers of path of knowledge, who are in knowledge of the absolute, attain the absolute by expiring at a time of day, illuminated by fire. Sun travels like this. 6 months on the Uttarayan side, 6 months on the Dakshinayan. And the sun also associated elements is there. Within a fortnight of the bright moon, during the sun, a 6 months northern orbit. Now we are going to learn, if he expires or leave the body on a dark night within a fortnight of the dark moon, during the sun, a 6 month southern orbit, those who are karmis, work are on the path of action. If they are pious, they will go to heaven. Subsequently, has to undergo also to rebirth. There is no other option. So let us do the next verse. Who would like to read? Anyone? Volunteer?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I can try.
Yes, Mother.
Dhumo ratris tatha Krishnaha Sharn Masa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate. So Dhumaha is smoke, Ratrihi night, Tatha also, Krishnaha the fortnight of the dark moon, Shat Masaha the 6 months, Dakshina Ayanam when the sun passes on the southern side, tatra, there, chandramasam, the moon planet, jyotihi, the light, yogi, the mystic, prapya, achieving, nivartate, comes back. Translation: the mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. Purport: in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapil Muni mentions that those who are expert in fruitive activities and sacrificial methods on earth attain to the moon at death. These elevated souls live on the moon for about 10,000 years by demigod calculations and enjoy life by drinking somaras. They eventually return to earth. This means that on the moon there are higher classes of living beings, though they may not be perceived by the gross senses. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mata. That's very nice. So now we finish the northern side. Now this text talking about the southern side. So there is a difference path. I hope everybody understands. It's not like somebody, that's all we know. Somebody just died. Every 9 seconds, somebody is dying, according to Google's. Every 9 seconds, somebody is dying. But we don't know what happened after death. This world is completely in ignorance beside the Hare Krishnas, I would say. They have no idea where actually soul goes. So Bhagavad Gita, so kindly Krishna is explaining that there is a different path. Now, previous verse talks about they have ion path. On means the road or the route. See, we have a machine which are made Chandrayan for going to Chandraloka or moon planet, or Mangalayan for going to Mangal planet, Mars. What that in America they say, man goes to Mars, Philip, what they say? The man goes to Mars or something, or men are from Mars, something like that.
I'm not sure.
Okay. But so people are aware of those planets, but they have no idea actually who lives and how it goes and who goes there. So Bhagavad Gita, this part is explaining, Devayan is a particular path which ultimately leads to liberation. Pitriyan is another path which leads to a heavenly planet, but it doesn't lead to liberation. I hope you all grasp that. So here it is mentioned, Dhuma Ratris Tatha Krishna. Mother Aruni just read. Dhuma is smoke. Ratri is night. Krishna here refers means dark fortnight. Like Krishna is black, we call dark. Krishna in Sanskrit, not necessarily Supreme Lord. Krishna Paksha, we say Krishna Paksha, Shukla Paksha, like this. Shanmasha Dakshinayanam. So in contrast to Uttarayan, it is Dakshinayan, Tatra. What happened to such people when somebody dies during that period? Chandramasam Jyoti, Chandramasam is the moon planet. So Yogi Prapya Nivartate, what happens to the yogi? The person who goes there, that person goes to the moon planet and live on the moon for 10,000 years. Prabhus and mothers in moon planet, one time Prabhupada mentioned details in 5th canto. There is no older or baby. Everybody is teenager. You enter as a teenager, young, I mean, like young, and you die also young. So nobody knows when the death is coming because there's no wrinkle or gray hair. At least we are fortunate. You may not like it, the idea, but if you think very deeply, we are fortunate. When the gray hair comes, wrinkles, then you know that your death is like very nearby. But in Chandraloka, nobody knows. So how they die? All of a sudden, they see that when they enter there, they have a special mark is given. All of a sudden, it's fading away. They are being pulled out right in front. When they are completely drowned into sense enjoyment with their spouse, whether it's a boyfriend for girl or girlfriend for boy, it's the same concept. All of a sudden, they see that symbol of lifespan dried out, taken out. Nobody saw it. There is no funeral pyre. There is no memorial ceremony. There is no cremation. You know, in India, it's very nice. Actually, in India, they have, you can literally see the dead body in the fire. You know, leg sticks out, and you feel like, oh God, you feel like really like life threatens you. You feel like to take sannyas. They call sasan sannasi. Smashan sannasi means you feel like, I don't want to be part of this world. I want to get out. This is horrible. This young man just died and they're, you know, cremating his body. His leg is sticking out. His head is like, you see it. And they're burning it. In Jagannath Puri, if anybody ever go to Jagannath Puri, you can see it. It's like right here in Sargodha. In America, nobody see it. Everything is so artificial. You just hear the name. In cremation, even nobody see it. It's just everything covered, you know, coffin, and very expensive. You can buy different covering, you know, $10,000, $5,000, $2,000. It's very interesting how to cover this dead body. But in India, I saw in Calcutta, when I was a young brahmachari, that all of a sudden so crowded, all of a sudden a group of people comes. Ram Ram, Jai Ram, Ram Ram, and everybody gives the way, even though it's overcrowded, because dead body just passing by. And you can see the dead body's leg, head sticking out from the carrying stuff. It's interesting. So if a yogi attempts to leave his body in time, which is preferable, but if he misses that, still he will not get zero result. Such yogi also get result. But what is the result? Yogi gets elevated to Chandraloka. That means yogis goes to heavens, but after staying in heaven, heavens are not eternal. They are long lasting, but not eternal. As yogis comes back to the earth. And in that way, yogi prappo nivartante, Karishya, she described in the, we'll see next verse, he will contrast the two paths in one verse. Let's see what's the time now. We have 10 minutes, but let's see. We'll do one more. Any volunteer? One more we'll do, and then we'll stop there and discuss a little more. Justin, nice to see you. You want to read last one? 26, if you are capable.
Hare Krishna, I'm not at home right now.
Okay.
Prabhu,
Thank you,
I'll take
Justin.
it if it's okay.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Is it 27?
26.
26. Shukla Krishna Gati He Ete Jagata Sashvate Mate Ekaya Yati Anavritam Anyayavartate Puna. Pardon my pronunciation, please. Shukla, light, Krishna, and darkness, Gati, ways of passing, He, certainly, Ete, these two, Jagata, of the material world, Shashvate, of the Vedas, Mate, in the opinion, Ekaya, by one, Yati, goal, Anavritam, to no return, Anaya, by the other, Avrate, comes back, Puna, again. Translation: according to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns.
1 second, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So what did you hear from before, Ajit Prabhu? So when one passes in light, what does that mean? He doesn't come back. What does that mean?
That means that he goes to the Krishna Loka?
No.
He doesn't come back.
It is a specific we discuss. He does go to a place, he doesn't come back, but chances of coming back is there. And I'm sure Prahladananda Prabhu knows, he's thinking about it.
Chandra Loka, he goes to Chandra Loka. Over there, he spends his time that all the auspicious activities that he's done. When his account is exhausted, then he comes back.
That's true. He can go to Chandraloka or any heavenly planet.
Heavenly planet.
But
yes.
when you talk about going also the impersonal, beyond this material realm. So this is what it means. Go ahead, Prabhu, with the purport.
Okay. Purport. The same description of departure and return is quoted by Acharya Baladev with Bhushana from the Chandragoya Upanishad 5.10.35. Those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation, for they do not surrender to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Very good. Now, Shukla Krishna Gatihi Ete. There are two ways of passing from the world. Repeating, Krishna is giving, look, in the middle of battlefield, if Krishna spend time to explain this, we should pay attention. 640 million people gathered to kill each other. But Krishna took time to explain this. Because we are all going to die. We should know. When somebody dies, you don't have to tell them, Prabhu's and mother, don't do that. Don't tell them, because they may get upset.
Mm-hmm.
If the destination is not higher, they don't want to hear it. You know, it's like a joke. Many years back, some interviewer saying that this lady, she's crying. What happened? He said, my dog died. He said, but you are happy? He said, yes, because he went to heaven. How do you determine a dog died, it went to heaven? What makes you that dog went to heaven? And what is heaven? For the dog to come? What did dog do? Piety that will go there. But it's a sentimentalist. The majority of people in this world, either judgmental or sentimental. Very few are transcendental. So here, Krishna is making this point very clear. Shukla Krishni Gati Hi Ete. Shukla refers Shukla Paksha. Now, he said, Jagata Shashate Mate. These are the Vedas which are Shashate, eternal, gives this opinion. Mate is opinion. Mata, like my opinion, my understanding. So there are two ways of departing. But Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, who is quoting from Vedanta Sutra, commenting from Chandogya Upanishad. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, I was doing little research on this. Baladev Vidyabhushan analyzes this quote extensively in his Govinda Bhashya commentary. Srila Prabhupada also quotes non-literary, not just this particular time, because often there are overlapping in time or contradiction. May happen like it may say Uttarayan means 6 months. Some of you must have heard that Uttarayan means 6 months. But that's maybe, but that's not exactly Uttarayan means. It's northern, where the sun rotating on the northern side. But within that, we have to have a day and we have night. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. You may say 6 months only on the daytime. No. Within the day, there is a night and day also. But the bigger picture that he's going on the northern side. So in Uttarayan, in daytime, but what about if there is a night in Uttarayan or day in Dakshinayan? Just in case any one of you thinking that way. That will happen also. There's a lot of complication over here. It's not like a very clear cut. So literal understanding does not really stand very scrutiny. We go very seriously into it. He gives an explanation, Baladev Vidyabhushan Thakur, that is referring to deities, is referring to Kala, does not necessarily refer to time only. Kala can refer to time, it can also refer to path, means the route. There are two paths of living the world. That is the way it is talked about here in this chapter. Ekaya jati anabrittam brittim. By one yogi not come back, by other he will come back. So the whole point of this discussion is that actually there are a lot of precise factors that have to be taken care of, so that one will attain success in spiritual journey. And if one will not take care of those, one will not attain success. So Arjuna asked, how? Now this is a nice point. Next week, Arjuna will ask, how I will take care of all this? And Sri Krishna will tell Arjuna, don't bother so much about this. Now, Prabhu's and mother, you'll be thinking like, so why did you discuss so much about details? No, Krishna felt it is important. But then next two verses next week we'll discuss is very nice. But I'll give you something interesting I just read recently, that the Buddhist, because they are one of the biggest population in this world. I think it's the third biggest religion in the world or something like that. They're one of the biggest. I mean, New York has a lot of Buddhists too. Buddhist school and Shankara school, believe or not, I don't know, Philip, if you ever heard Advaita philosophy, they are in New York. There are a lot. They even come to the subway on the Harinam to talk. Who was telling me the other day? Was it yesterday? I forgot. So Ram Rai or somebody was telling me. They literally think they all are part of God, means they are God. They are one. So Buddhist school and Shankara school wants to discover a place where one can live without labor, without hard work. Buddha says that life itself, what I understand I'm sharing with you, life itself is unnecessary. I don't know how many of you will agree with that. Think very deeply. Buddha, I mean, there are a lot of scientists in America are actually following Buddhism. I do know personally a research scientist who is also very attracted. We're still friends, and he has Prabhupada's books. Hopefully, eventually he will come, but you cannot force somebody. According to Buddhist school, we can do away with our existence. It is a mania to keep up our existence in the struggling world. Now, you can say they're talking like this because they're frustrated. Yes, Buddhism comes from the frustration. I'm tired of life. I'm tired of just working. Is there a place I can go without work and live? I don't know if anyone of you ever really felt like to scream out. I am tired of work. There are a lot of people. That's why they are attracted to the Buddhism. Why should we live at all? They even ask, what is the purpose of life? I don't want to live. I just want to die and forget it. Scary. So the Buddhist advocate Nirvana. What is Nirvana? If you really think, what is Nirvana? The cessation of existence. Cessation of existence. They literally believe, like a deep sleep, it is the best existence. But then they have to use the word. So they say cessation of existence means I want to be in a place where nothing exists. What? But how do you know you'll be there if nothing exists? It's like a mind pondering, you know. Just like in Los Angeles, I saw they pay $500 to get rid of your desire. And the teacher really weeps. And it was full. My God, it was like a 20 people. $500 is almost $10,000. Of course, they gave me free to just check it out. But I still remember. I said, hey, to become desireless is also a desire. You have to have a desire to become desireless. So how do you become desireless with the desire? They say, you're talking too many things. It's like, we don't discuss too much. This is okay. Just leave it and take this book and read. I said, okay. They're not interested to talk philosophy so deep. Now, let's go to the Sankaracharya, Advaitavadi. Because in New York, there are a lot of Sankaracharya followers. Even in the Western people I'm talking about. Of course, Sankaracharya says, of course there is a life. He believes in life. But this life is not desirable. Now, if you really think, what does that mean? We are always suffering from injury. This is what I understood other day when I read Shankaracharya's opinion. And there is a force which is always diminishing us. Hey, we were yesterday. What is today? Gone yesterday. You literally feel you're getting old, days is passing. But in relation to the physical body, they are not identifying as a soul. Ultimately, we die. That's what Shankaracharya says. We are challenged by slow death. Majority people will agree. Not only that, he says, Bishatullah, like poison. Like, there is a slow poison. I'm sure some of you are aware. There's a slow poison that it goes slowly. Eventually, it kills you. It is true that life in the world of morality is undesirable. Then, what is the solution? So, Shankaracharya says that endeavor to maintain one's individual self is undesirable. There is no possibility of maintaining individuality. At the same time, enjoying real peace, eternal peace. So we shall have to give up the charm of individual life. I don't know how many of you thought really to get rid of your individuality. I am afraid. I don't want to lose my individuality. From Krishna consciousness point, it is the best thing of self. But those who don't have Krishna consciousness understanding, they think this individual life, when the Advaita idea, is the root cause of all this problem. And they come to that conclusion that there is one universal spirit. That is a blissful conception. We are merely reflection of that. That spirit has been reflected everywhere. Somehow, it has created this mysterious individual ego. Prabhus and mothers, we are not trying to destroy ego. We are trying to destroy false ego. not ego. I is the ego. I exist is the ego. I'm a servant of Krishna is the ego. It's nothing wrong. It is pure, perfect. If we actually dwell on it, I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm a lover of Krishna. Yes, perfect. That ego is actually harmonious with Krishna's existence, eternity. But according to Shankar, there is one universal spirit. That is blissful conception. We are merely, he said, reflection of that. This is what that is called, what is that called? Pratibimba Brahm. I remember that. One conception is like you have a say you have thousands of pots of water, and there's a full moon in the sky. Now in each pot, you will see the moon. I don't know if anybody ever experienced that. But I saw that two pots like this also. So they say the Pratibimba Brahm. I understand the concept. And then they say, now you break the pot, each pot. Where is the moon? Moon was there in the water of the pot. But do you see the moon anymore? You see the existence, consciousness. Do you see this at the end of death? When the pot is broken, just water merging to the earth, there is no moon. So what is their conclusion? There was no moon. You thought there was a moon in the water of your pot. So they say actually there is only one moon, one undivided universal spirit. This is a misconception. First of all, if there is one moon, then who created these pots, individual pot? And what was the purpose of creating individual pot? That they don't answer. What you are thinking, I cannot think. Who is giving this demarcation? They don't. About Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter, when you will come, we'll get details. So according to Shankar, somehow he said it has created this mysterious individual ego or consciousness. We must not be very eager to maintain this false ego. We must dissolve it. When that is done, we shall find that only spirit remains. But that spirit is not you. It is undivided. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall for it. A lot of people fall for it. Prabhus and mothers, we should be very careful. Like recently, a young man asked a question that his friend was killed, has been killed in an accident. So I was told that he shouted, when he was killed, he shouted the name of Krishna at the time of death. So I was asked, what was his destination? So what we understand, whether one is young or old, in the plane of flesh and blood, is no qualification for spiritual attainment. I hope you all understand that. One's mentality must be examined, where consciousness flows. And according to the particular time and place, the conception of persons involved, that should be the genuine name, or it may be namabhash. We are chanting name, shadow of the real name. It's like when Mahatma Gandhi was shot, he cried, Ram, Ram, and he was shot in the chest, and his spectacles, the glasses, he had glasses, were thrown into the street. Within half an hour, he passed away. I remember we discussed that in one class in this discussion. And he pronounced the word Ram, Ram. he was on his way to deliver a religious lecture. Prabhus and mothers, please don't be judgmental. I know you're not, but I'm just telling you. But think about this. What was the mentality of Mahatma Gandhi when he said Ram, Ram? His mentality was full of thought of national progress. So in his case, the vibration of the name may have worked in the plane of nation building. To understand a person's destination at the time of death, we must ask, what was his consciousness? What was his mentality? Sometimes chanting the name may result in namabhas, the shadow of the name. Whether or not it is Suddhanam, the genuine name, depends on the mental system of the person chanting the name. It depends on his relation towards Krishna, his intention. These things are actually where the consciousness actually carried on. We recently read in Chaitanya Bhagavat that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. He was chanting Gopi Gopi just before he took sannyas, just few days before. And hearing this, a tantric brahmana came to give him some advice. Are, Nimai Pandit? Can you imagine advising to Lord Chaitanya? Said, you are a scholar, you know the scripture, still you are chanting the name of Gopi Gopi. Because Mahaprabhu was remembering after coming back from Gaya that how he was so much into experiencing this Radha's mood, how Krishna left and went to Mathura. So he was feeling, by expressing emotional, aligned with the gopis. He was going with supporting the gopis. So Mahaprabhu was mentioning Gopi, Gopi. And when this so-called smarta tantric students, they said, Gopi, Gopi, what benefit will you get from that? Scripture said you should chant the name of Krishna. You may get some benefit. You will find this in many places in the scriptures, especially in the Puranas. Why then do you chant Gopi, Gopi? And those who knows me as the basis of the universal principle of phenomenon, governance, dispensation, such persons, their heart absorbed in me, Krishna says, can know me even at the time of death. Afflicted in the face of fearful death, they do not forget me. Mahaprabhu wanted to establish this. So relationship is the key before we depart from this world. Prabhus and mothers, hey, Philip, can you read that 8.6? What did Krishna say? Did he say about chanting? He said, remembrance. Remembrance means, remembrance only can happen when you have a relationship. Relationship.
You want me to read it?
Translation, yeah.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
So state of being means there is a actually relationship. Remind you, pull you towards Krishna. So how do you develop that relationship? Try to connect everything. That's why Bhagavad Gita we are reading, to connect everything. Like right now in the Zoom, how Krishna is there in the Zoom also. His presence make the demigod allowing to the Zoom. It's not like a one company, Zoom company. They have no access. They're not borrowing. They're borrowing this energy from the demigod. I mean, from Krishna through the demigod, and they are charging for the money. They did not create anything in this world. They're just taking from the nature and claiming their own credit. So when we see that connection, we will not be bewildered at the moment of death. So next week, we're going to do 26, 27, 28, 3. Any Mother Shushilpa, you have raised hand.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. I have a small question. The example that you just gave about Mahatma Gandhi or some other devotee was asking the question. At the time of death, they have remembered, or they said from their mouth God's name from their mouth. But you explained it nice on depending on their consciousness, they would go to that loka, to God, though they. So are you, just to understand more, are you saying that though they speak out with their mouth, the God's name from their mouth, it's not actually that they are remembering God, but sometimes it wouldn't come until they actually remember God, right? So I'm just trying to understand the consciousness, the 3 steps, consciousness, remembrance, and then speaking out from mouth. I'm just trying to understand the closeness between consciousness and remembrance. Prabhuji.
Yes. Very, very good question. Very good question. I met people who are talk about God, but they have no understanding about form of God. They don't even focus that God has activities or identity or personality, preference, no idea, literally no idea. So when they die and think of God, where do you think they will go? Where they will go? If God doesn't have a planet, if God doesn't have a place, if there is no eternity, but they talk about God, where they will heading? They will go to higher planet, because give some idea about God. Or some existence where no personality, no preference, just be there for a while. And then, because the soul is also has a senses, so they will be disturbed and drop down again. As you mentioned, like what we are focusing on, connection or contribution. This is very important. When we think of Krishna, we think of his personality, his planet, his entourage, devotees, so many things. We're not just thinking of Krishna abstract, We dress the deities, we feed the Krishna, we take his prasadam. We have a whole operation as a personality, preference, liking, not liking. We're not just, abstract form of God. Now, there is something I need to add, because otherwise it may confuse. If the person who introduced you Krishna, if he is a pure devotee, just like a Narad Muni introduced Ratnakar Dhashu, a mafia, you can say what, rogues. I don't know the translation of Dhashu means. Not a demon. Demon is Asura. Dhashu is like a mafia kind of a rogues, He could not pronounce Ram. He was so sinful, he could not even pronounce Ram. So then he pronounced Mara. Mara means death. Now, because he followed a great personality, Narad Muni's word, even though it took some time, but because he followed that personality, he eventually came to the personal conception of God, Lord Ram, and he became Valmiki. A transformation from Ratnakar mafia to a great saint called Valmiki. Because of his guru invested in his heart true potency to revive his relationship with God, Ram. I'm not putting down Mahatma Gandhi or anything, but I don't know his relationship with his guru. Whether his guru introduced him, Ram. But everything that I heard, I had a talk with this wonderful friend, Gujarati friend. He's a very nice devotee. And he was mentioning the whole Mahatma Gandhi's life. He talks about Ram Rajya, Ram Rajya. He's talking about kingdom of Ram. And he wants to establish kingdom of Ram here. But he's not talking about Ram. I hope you get that, mother. He's not talking about Lord Ram, pleasing Ram, serving Ram. He's talking about the atmosphere. The people should live happy. People should not be, tortured but people, he is giving all this ideal example of good kingdom, but nothing to do with Ram. No service to Ram. So I don't know, where is the destiny?
Got it, Prabhuji. So it's not completely connected to God. Consciousness is connecting to God, whereas remembrance can be conscious, connecting to God too, but not completely connected to God. So materialistic. I mean, those are all good thoughts too. People to be happy is also good thought, but not completely connected to God himself or service to God himself. Right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
difference.
Yes, good thought. If you really boils down to yourself, if you think, who are we as a soul? We are servant. What is our connection with the Lord? Service. What is our nature? Love. Any function on that three principle is Krishna conscious or God conscious. They will get spiritual destiny. But to have a good kingdom without serving God, pleasing God, who is connecting to where? It's just another idea of, Lenin, Karl Marx. I read their life also, how communism took over. Karl Marx, he was a genius, and Lenin just executed that. But if you really think, their idea was also good. Hey, not a rich, everybody is equal. Haha, let's distribute amongst us. Oh, wow, so nice. So nice, but the death is coming. The next life could be a roaches or a rat or a snake. They have no idea. So what value of that idealistic life?
Prabhuji,
I grew up in West Bengal. It was under 35 years communist. But it has no value to me. Does that make sense, Mother Sushilpa?
Yes, Prabhuji, very well. But kind of a follow-up question. Sorry if anybody
Yeah, that's okay.
But we are saying the four varnas, right? Like Brahmana, Kshatriya. So if in case, I'm not choosing Mahatma Gandhi, but the same example, if anybody who's thinking and then thinking about Ramarajyam for the people to be happy, in a leadership quality, then are we saying that, okay, in this janma, because of their leadership qualities, they are thinking this way, that way, next janma, definitely they'll have, because they are not in a service attitude. Until they get that service attitude, they will become again taking birth over and over. So something like connecting to the varnas, should he be or should I be in a Brahmanical varna of serving Lord, and then that way I'm just connecting it to the varnas.
I understand. That's a very nice thought. If anybody has access You know, there's a famous verse, I always memorize that. Mahaprabhu quoted in Madhya Chaitanya Charitamrita 22.26. Chari Varnasrami, was that? Chari Varnasrami Jodi Krishna nahi bhaje, sakarma karite se rorabe porimaje. If anybody has access, you look at it. 22 chapter Madhya 26 verse. It talks about the importance of Varnashram without God conscious. It will scare you. And who spoke? Lord Chaitanya himself, God himself spoke. You can have a good idea, but at the core of our existence, Mother Sushilpa, we are children of God. We have an eternal life with Him. We have a joyful, unlimited ocean of happiness with Him. But if somebody is always depriving from that relationship to the temporary goodness, it's all fake. Ultimately, it's all wasted. Why? Because next life, they are not coming to Varnashram. They are going to hell. If you look at that verse on Google's event, Madhya 22:26, Mahaprabhu says, they will go to hell. They'll fall into hellish condition of life. Hellish condition is like somebody is absorbed on economic development. So much so, then they become like those infant bugs. They always depends on the leaves and others. Is that a good life? I don't think so. If you really think about reincarnation, it's horrible. Death can come any moment, even the most idols. But if it is not God conscious, just simply waste it.
Got it, Prabhuji. So depending up, though, according to our previous life, though we have this rajasic qualities, we still have to realize that we are servants of God, and with the service attitude, though we have those qualities of Raj to take care of people, we still have to be in an attitude and a consciousness of service attitude, and then continue to go back to God. Got it,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very good. Very good. Yes, you got it, Mother. Mother Aruni. Devi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So I always, when we discuss this, my mind always goes back to Ajamil, and his consciousness, remembrance was not Krishna or Narayan. So why did Vishnu Dut come there then? I know previously he was a big Bhakta Vaishnava, but many, many years he was with the prostitute. So then why?
To establish the power of holy name, this scenario took place, you can say. Another point is that if anybody did bhakti, even for 1 year, I hope Philip never leaves. But even Philip, he just came. Justin, when did you come, Justin? When did you join Hare Krishna? If you really think.
2019.
20, what? 19.
2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, see, a few years he did. Now he can go on whole life, or even if he leaves and goes back to horrible life. I pray that he never goes. But even if he goes to horrible life, he will still get a human birth because he did some practice and he has to start where he left. Bhakti is always beneficial at any stage, even if somebody cannot do whole life. But whereas anything else, karma, gyan, and others, it blocks. As soon as you leave the human birth, I get an animal life, I cannot do bhakti. I may be a dog in New York in a rich man's house. What bhakti can I do? The understanding power, intelligence is covered. Intelligence is there. Consciousness carries that, but it's covered. Abritam jnanam etena. Only human form, the intelligence started to budding, to blooming, where Krishna consciousness can be injected. So Ajamil case, that Vishnudutta came just to bring him back home. The Krishna did not ignore him because he was a devotee at certain time in his life, but then he fall down with the prostitute. Of course, it is his fault. It was not Krishna's fault. He chooses to go that route. But at the same time, Krishna wanted to show that he cares for the devotees. Anybody came to Krishna consciousness, Krishna will care. He will give facility to those souls to come back home.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, if there is no other question or comment or anything, then we will close here. Looking forward to see you all next Wednesday.
Prabhuji, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Prahladananda Prabhu. I thought you will be there.
There is one nice slogan, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mother Lipi. Nice to hear it from you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Joy Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.
প্রভু মার্জনা করবেন আমি ভয়েসটা পোস্ট করেছি কারণ বুঝতে পারছিলাম যে সবাই জানা দরকার সেজন্য
Thank you. Thank you. But
Prabhuji,
this Wednesday, yes, Prahladanda Prabhu, go ahead.
Can I quote one Srimad Bhagavatam slok regarding
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. There's a very nice slok which says, Na uttam slok vartayam justam tat katham rutam syat sambrabho antakale smartam tat padam liyam. One who has passed his life every day discussing Krishna Katha, he will have no sambram, he will have no confusion remembering Lord Sri Krishna. Yes. So I always depend on that. I said, I'll read Bhagavatam, I'll read Bhagavad Gita, I'll at least read one sloka, something like that, every day. If I do that, I have confidence I'll be able to remember. I just remembered that slok, and we discussed that in our satsang yesterday. So, thank you very much for allowing to speak, Prabhuji.
Definitely you will meet either Krishna or Krishna's agent to take you home. This is very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mother Dandakesh, Mother Sushilpa, Mother Padma, Mother Harsha, Mother Seyakari Devi, Somen Prabhu, Mother Subhadra Gopika, Ratiranjan Prabhu, Mother Madhavi, Radha Radha Prabhu, Justin Prabhu, Prahladanda Prabhu, Ajit Prabhu, Mother Aruni, and Philip. So we'll look forward to see you all next Wednesday. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Vaishnava Vrinda ki